for trying to mute me.
Only I was. Dinkelberg. My name is Henry Confidential. If you guys checked out last week, we talked about the first two segments of my top 128. The first one was the rewatchable low stakes comedies. Obviously there's a little bit of here and there with some of those, and then the pure dramas. Got to be in the mood. These are sci-fi, horror, with a couple war movies. Sometimes it's just you got to put them somewhere. So, Antonio, you weren't on the first two brackets, but we did do a behind the scenes rundown of the other two just for you, and you had an idea of what to think. What are your thoughts on this one? And do you like sci-fi, horror, and a couple war movies?
I'm getting more into horror now because of my girlfriend. So, I'm kind of glad that you chose me for this one. Sci-fi, I love sci-fi, and then war, hit or miss. But yeah, interesting to see where this bracket goes.
There you go, Brian. You were on the first two. Are these two genres more up your alley, or are these ones going to be more along the lines of like, all right, this could be chaos in my guessing of what I'm going to pick?
I love sci-fi horrors. My favorite one is that one from Total Recall with the three. Horror, sci-fi horror. Sorry. Yeah.
3 tits. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not huge into horror. I mean, I like a lot of horror movies, but yeah, I'm not as much as some people, especially when you get into like the A24 elevated horror bullshit, which I'm sure is all over your fucking list. But yeah, sci-fi movies I like. War movies.
Fun fact: there's only like two, so it's not. Don't get too definite. That's why I threw it in there. I was like, I got to put them somewhere.
Glorious Bastards and
no, fun fact, not. Jay, in comparison to your 128 that you did behind the scenes, that is half the movies you don't even like.
Start talking. You muted, Jay.
Yeah. Half the movies you didn't even like. So how is that going to compare to what you expect on these? I think you'll like a lot.
I talked shit about 3 of the movies on my list. I have actively heard you talk shit about more movies on your 128. Outside of the bracket making, I've heard you talk shit actively about those movies. So go fuck yourself on that. No, I didn't even hear what the category was. I heard Antonio talk about horror and something else. So who knows? Maybe I've seen some of these. Maybe I haven't. Maybe I'm here to just fucking try to get the worst movie through, like some people decided to do because they wanted to move the fucking wrong Lord of the Rings movie forward in a bracket. Fucking assholes.
Oh god.
That's a little aggressive. But yeah, with that said, like I said, these movies. So with this one, I actually paired these up just because it is a little more random with the styles. So at least the first round, kind of like what Brian did in his behind the scenes one. So I did do a lot of these matchups. So Pez is going to be jumping in a second. He's getting ready, but we go ahead and get started. Just talk about these movies. Obviously, a lot of people are going to talk about the movies anyway. So whatever. So the first matchup is going to be I teased them, the war movies. I'm going to get better at this as we practice. So I'm going to start with Antonio because you're new to this. Mm-hmm. Apocalypse Now versus Saving Private Ryan. What are your thoughts on these two movies?
Okay, someone's gonna ream me for this, but I've still never seen Apocalypse Now.
Okay,
it's on my list. And Saving Private Ryan has a kind of like I don't know if it's weird to say, a special place in my heart because my brothers always used to put it on. So yeah, out of a slight bias, I gotta give it to Saving Private Ryan. Can never turn it.
Would Saving Private Ryan be on your 120? I'm just curious since you said special place in your heart, because I know you haven't made a list. Is this something you would consider in the future?
I would say top 50 at least.
Oh, there we go. All right, Brian, war movies, Apocalypse Now, Saving Private Ryan.
Well, I mean, one of these is made by the greatest director of all time, and the other one is Apocalypse Now. You can tell Apocalypse Now was like, making shit up as they went along, and the whole ending and how they were rewriting shit, and it just has that kind of feeling to it. I don't dislike the movie. I think it is a collection of some really great scenes, but as a complete movie, I'm just kind of like, eh. And then of course Brando all full of himself with the character at the end. I was like, eh. I'm not a big fan of that. But especially a lot of the early stuff I like in that, but Saving Private Ryan for me blows it away.
All right. Jay, what are your thoughts on these two movies?
I'm not necessarily like the biggest lover of napalm in the morning. But one of these movies has Vin Diesel in it and the other doesn't.
So I'm
So I gotta vote against Vin Diesel. No, I'm kidding. Because a vote against Vin Diesel is a vote against family. No, I'm going Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, luckily for us, because Pez isn't here yet, there's a chance to be a tie, but there's not going to be a tie because I'm going Saving Private Ryan as well. I love Apocalypse Now. The opening scene is one of those ones where just the use of the song, the Doors song, Charlie Sheen, no, I'm just kidding, Martin Sheen's character just being drunk, and it's kind of a reflection on him as just an actor and like what he was going through, breaking the glass. He kind of did that before. Leo did it on The Skull and Django Unchained. The cinematography is great. The pacing, I think it's really well paced. It's a good deconstruction of just like what characters can go through in the madness, and obviously it was parodied in Tropic Thunder later. But I think it's a great movie, and it covers a lot of stuff that's important. And but Saving Private Ryan, I just rewatched it, and spoiler, it's not going to make my top 100. It did technically go down like outside the top 100 nitpicking, but it's still going to be a hair higher than Apocalypse Now. So Saving Private Ryan is going to move on for me for the first matchup. And now we're going to go into one that hopefully Pez shows up soon, because this one I feel like could get hairy. Our second matchup is going to be, and we're going to start with Brian, The World's End versus Big Trouble in Little China.
Okay. Both movies I enjoy, but both movies that I don't feel deserve some of the praise, like over the top praise they get. I think between the two, I'm going to vote Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, Kurt Russell is just amazing in that. It's got a lot of great comedy as well as the sci-fi action to it. At World's End, I very much enjoy, but I do think it's the weakest of the Cornetto trilogy. Maybe his weakest film overall for Edgar Wright. So yeah, for me, Big Trouble.
I mean,
All
Baby
right.
Driver exists, so
Hey,
does
that's-
Scott Pilgrim, but
It's one of his best ones.
Fuck,
And
okay.
Scott Pilgrim is his best one.
no, it's not. Oh my God, Scott Pilgrim's so fucking. Okay. Anyways, The World's End. The World's End is tied for my number one favorite Cornetto. And don't get me wrong, Big Trouble in Little China, not bad. Not bad. I like it. But on rewatchability, which one am I going to throw on? I do love the opening monologue Kurt Russell has in the Pork Chop Express, but I love more of the themes and everything that goes on with Gary King in The World's End. I got to go The World's End.
Yeah, so Big Trouble in Little China is a movie that
Yeah, it's a movie, all right.
first time I watched it, I did a watch along with Mike Hanley, and it's one of those ones where I don't know if just the first time watch was just the experience of watching with my buddy and just having that enjoy. So all my rewatches just kind of bring back that nostalgia. But it's just one of those movies I quote, all the time, like Son of a Bitch, Pay. It's all in the reflexes. Everything. If we're not back in 5 minutes, call the president. Like Jack Burton, Kurt Russell's character is just so charismatic and just memorable, and I love that he's a hero and he's the main character, but like he doesn't do anything really heroic, and he's not actually helping out, the plot and doing anything. He's kind of in the way, and obviously he has a side character named Henry Swanson, so that's a lot of fun. But The World's End just has that emotion that fun fact. The first 2 times I ever watched it, my Blu-ray, like for some reason, skipped at the very end of the explosion in the parking lot. So I never really got that weird or that full experience of the climax. So I've always had a weird experience with it. So like I had that sour taste in my mouth. So as time has gone by, it's just become really, really rewatchable, really emotional, really quotable. Let's boo-boo. So I'm going to go The World's End. Ant-Man.
So yeah, I've seen both these movies once, and it was for the first time actually this past year. Actually, I thank Jay for getting me at The World's End.
Gotcha,
Finally
baby.
watched that. Yeah. But yeah, I gotta go with Big Trouble just because I don't know. I had a more fun time watching. I like World's End, but I had a more fun time watching Big Trouble in Little China. Kurt Russell is always amazing, and then to see a cool blend of just action, comedy, and then a little bit of like sci-fi fantasy in there. And Kim Cattrall looks so freaking amazing too. And so yeah, and Pork Chop Express. I just love that name for a freaking truck too, man. It's freaking. It always stuck with me. So yeah, I gotta go Big Trouble in Little China. That's my
There we
pick.
go. We have one viewer. Comment below your vote. Oh, wait.
Yeah, and
Just
watch it be XYZZ
It is not.
backslash
They
thirst
would
trap.
they would comment their porn.
Right.
So our one viewer, comment below your votes as we wait on Pez. He's going to be here. He's finishing up a battleground, so I know he's on his way. Just they're doing, you know how everything is.
You know, just back up and get his vote on this one to break the tie.
All right, that's fine. So we will scroll back up. So our next one is going to be Children of Men versus They Live.
Ooh.
Start with Jay.
Oh. I love both of these movies for different reasons. And this one hurts my heart because I think if they were matched up against almost anything else that we have gone for so far, I could vote for both of them. Children of Men is just a movie that has no hope to it. I know it's in the tagline of the film itself, but They Live, Roddy Piper and Keith David, and that drag out fucking fight scene in the alley that lasts like 12 minutes too long is by far just one of my favorite scenes in history. Plus, They Live is so quotable. I by the slimmest of margins, I'm going They Live because he was here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and he's all out of bubble gum.
Yeah. So for me, Children of Men is one of those movies where it's the perfect example, at least for me, I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, is every time I watch it, in my mind, I'm like, holy shit, why is this not in my top 20? Like, it's amazing. It's so like well-paced. Clive Owen's character is great. Julianne Moore. Michael Caine has a very memorable and standout like performance. Like, he's a great scene stealer with the strawberry.
That's not his name. That's not his name.
Anyway, Strawberry Cough. And it's just one of those things where it's a lot of fun. You got Chiwetel Ejiofor, you got Charlie Hunnam over there with his dreads. Like, it's just a weird like concept, but it's just a lot of fun. But They Live is one of those movies that it's just like what Jay said. It's super quotable for me. I have it tattooed on my arm of just the obey, but like the not obey. It's just like one of those things where just it's a good satire and like pointing out just the bullshit of consumerism and just selling out your soul. And it just reminds me of just communities I'm involved in online sometimes, where it's just like, oh, something, whatever. And you look, if you have put those glasses on, you have your skeleton. The ending sci-fi fight is just over the top and just a lot of fun. John Carpenter, it's got one of those scores that just nomadic, where it just goes. It feels like there's not much to it, but it's kind of the point because it fits the themes. And you're all right. Her, real fucking ugly. So I'm gonna go with They Live. Ant-Man.
I agree with you both that They Live is just quotable as fuck. And
What, motherfucker?
but
You fucking whore.
Children of Men has just made a lasting impression on me. I think it's arguably Alfonso Cuarón's best movie. And I don't know, man. When I only seen that movie once, and I need to watch it more. But like just that one time, just stay with me for a while. So I got to give it to Children of Men.
2-1 for Children of Men. Brian, I don't know if I've really ever heard you talk about either of these, so I'm genuinely curious on this.
Both of these fall into the same category as the last one, whereas like I think they're both good movies. I don't think they're great movies. I would say Children of Men is unquestionably Cuarón's best movie, mostly because the rest of it are pretty average at best. I mean, Roma and Gravity and even Azkaban. I'm not a Harry Potter guy, but that's just me. They Live. It's so quotable. Jay talked about already about that fight scene that's so awesome that everybody remembers. But really, outside of a few lines and that fight scene, it's not really a good movie. I mean, it's really, really shitty special effects and production value to it. Roddy Piper
a movie from the 80s.
When it came out, I saw it in the theater simply because I was a big wrestling fan at the time when I was a little kid. And but I mean, the movie itself is not all that great, as much fun as certain scenes and certain lines are. So overall, I'm gonna have to give Children of Men.
Brian was 30 when They Live came out.
No, I was like 14.
All right, we're gonna have another tiebreaker, so Pez is gonna be able to talk real quick when he comes in. So we're gonna keep that one for that and see what happens. Our next matchup, starting with me, is going to be Blade Runner versus Ex Machina. Damn, this one's tough. I'm gonna go with the tiebreaker of there's no scene that like makes me I think of like randomly than the Tears in Rain monologue from Rutger Hauer from Blade Runner. So this is really close for me, and I feel like if we did this same matchup tomorrow, I could switch my mind, but my gut is gonna go with Blade Runner. But man, this is a bummer. Blade Runner. Antonio.
You're right. It's freaking tough. I never get tired of watching Oscar Isaac dance to disco in Ex Machina, and the whole movie's great. Gay with Alicia Vikander, I think when she was still like up and coming, and she's gorgeous in the movie. But I'm biased because my favorite actor is in one of these films, so I'm going with Blade Runner. And I think the final cut's possibly the best version. And yeah, man, just besides that monologue, I just feel like the whole world that Ridley Scott builds is freaking amazing. I do like the sequel a little bit better, but just overall, the first Blade Runner is just so iconic for a sci-fi film. You know, Harrison Ford does his thing. Daryl Hannah, Rutger Hauer. But yeah, I gotta give it to Blade Runner.
Nice, that's 2 for Blade Runner. By the way, Final Cut is the only version I've ever seen, so that's the only one I've ever had an opinion on. Brian.
Yeah, Blade Runner was the first R-rated movie that I ever talked to my parents to let me see because I'm like, I have to see this. It's Indiana Jones. It's Han Solo. I have to go see this movie. And as a little kid, of course, I was kind of bored by it. I'm like, what the hell is this shit?
Right.
But I mean, obviously, I've seen it many times in the year since then. All the 12,000 different cuts of it and everything. I honestly prefer kind of the theatrical, simply because I think that narration helps a little with the pacing. Because it's a very slow movie, you know, things like that. And there's other things from the final cut that I prefer to it, though. So it's kind of hit and miss. Ex Machina is an excellently made movie. I think there's great performances across the board. But even with the pacing issues, I still got a Blade Runner.
So you went Blade Runner?
Yep.
All right, so it's going to be Blade Runner. Jay, I feel like I know you're going to go, but I'm genuinely curious on your opinion on both.
I like a lot of what goes on in Ex Machina. I really do. But I gotta give credit to the far-flung future of 2019 in Blade Runner, guys. I don't know if you know this or not, but it's set so far in the future that it's 2019. What's today's date? Fuck. No, I like Blade Runner. I like the blending of like cyberpunk and sci-fi with just like this noir film. Deckard is by far one of my favorite characters in like just movie lore, and you're not wrong. The Tears in Rain speech, that all fucking like less than a minute of what Rutger Hauer spits is just pure fire the entire time. I'd go Blade Runner over Ex Machina every day of the week.
There you go. And welcome, Pez. We'll backtrack the 2 that you missed that you need to be a tiebreaker on. But for this one, what are your thoughts on Blade Runner and Ex Machina?
Blade Runner, I don't like it, never have. Overrated, puts me to sleep every time I try to watch it. Ex Machina all the way.
You're trash. You're a garbage human being.
Perfect
Great
timing.
start.
This is why Pez is
You're,
here.
you're a garbage human being.
We'll
Great.
talk about that in Battleground.
No, we can talk about it right now. It's fine.
All right.
All right. So Blade Runner is going to move on. Pez, 2 matchups that you're a tiebreaker on: The World's End versus Big Trouble in Little China.
Ooh, Big Trouble.
Big Trouble is going to move on. And Children of Men versus They Live.
Oh, do you even have to ask me, Henry? You know I don't like Children of Men either. They live.
All right, so there we go. So those are our matchups that we've caught up on. So now we are going to start with. We'll start with Pez. Fuck it. Let's just start at the bottom. By the way, Tato's in the background. Oh, he left now. He was in the background. I wasn't going to let him vote, but he could hang out. But Pez, Old Boy versus Parasite.
Oh, 2 good movies, but Old Boy.
Oh,
Old
it's
Boy,
it's
Old
the
Boy,
good
Old Boy.
version of Old Boy.
Yeah. No, I think Parasite's good, but I've seen Old Boy like probably 6 or 7 times. That's my jam. So I'm going Old Boy.
All right, it's one for Old Boy. For me, I've seen Parasite more, and it's like it's one of those things where I feel like I speak Korean because as much as I've watched, I feel like I just quote random things, even if it's just one line here and there. But it's like I just remember a lot of the dialogue from this movie. Old Boy is one of the first movies that ever impacted me thematically, like its story and all that stuff. As crazy, I don't like saying this, but since I have seen them both and I love them both, I'm more likely to watch Parasite. And Old Boy, I have to be in the mood for it. So I'm going to go Parasite. That's my tiebreaker. Usually I don't do that, but sometimes I will. Antonio.
I think I was like 12 when I first saw Old Boy. I don't know why the fuck my brother chose that movie out of so many things to rent from like Netflix back in the day.
Because
When
it's
they
a
were
good movie.
Right. So, I was 12. I didn't fucking know anything. So I saw it, and even though obviously I was still learning a lot of shit about life, I still fucking love the movie. And even now, like I've seen it like at least 10 times. I saw Parasite once. I did love it, but Old Boy just always stays with me. I love the fucking music in that movie too. And obviously the twist, one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen in the movie. That stays with me too. And yeah, I definitely gotta go Old Boy.
All right, it's 2 for Old Boy. Brian.
This is a close one for me. I think Parasite is the better made movie. I think it. I mean, obviously, it had the Oscar and all the other accolades it received. But honestly, I think if I was going to rewatch one, it'd probably be Old Boy. I like the story of it better. I like the style it has to it better. So I'm going to go Old Boy.
All right. And Jay.
I literally have the hallway scene with the ball peen hammer as one of my Twitch notifications for when people bum rush my channel. I have a meme of I hate the fact that I'm forgetting his name. Eating the squid. Eating.
No.
Is that a euphemism for
Or
something?
Daisu's character, or is that
character's name? But yeah, I always forget the actor's name too.
Oh, Daisu.
Daisu.
Yeah. Old Boy is just that story that sucked me in. I did really enjoy Parasite though. I'm not gonna lie, director Bong, get over that 1-inch fence. Watch movies with fucking subtitles, people. It's not that fucking difficult. Both these movies are fucking fire, but I would go Old Boy over Parasite.
There you go. All right, so Old Boy is going to be moving on, and I'm not mad at it. Old Boy is one of those ones where it's like similar to what I said about the Blade Runner thing, which I could probably switch any given Sunday. All right, we're going to go over to me to start. This one's a bummer that this is the matchup. Pan's Labyrinth versus Mulholland Drive. I had to go fantasy for this one. I matched up these for a reason because they're weird. But I had to go fantasy on this, dreamlike states, and Pan's Labyrinth is just up there for me. Mulholland Drive is up there too. Like I think about it almost on a daily basis. It's one of those movies that if you're not all in, you're not in, and like I get that. And it's one of those things where it's like it is niche and it is like you have to be part of the camp, and I am. But Pan's Labyrinth is just a special place in my heart. Capitan Vidal is one of the best movie villains of all time. The Fawn is just a great, character. Ophelia, she's just fantastic, and just her growth and arc. Carmen is just one of those characters, part of the Rebel Alliance, that just does a great job of just giving hope, and it's a nice parallel. Like watching this and like a New Hope as a double feature would be a lot of fun. I'm gonna go Pan's Labyrinth. Antonio.
So to be fair, I've only seen bits and pieces of Mulholland Drive.
Okay.
I've seen other works of David Lynch, and I don't think I'm that much of a fan of his. I do got to give him more of a chance, but I mean, Pan's Labyrinth is a movie that I first saw in school. I don't know, I forgot what class it was for, but yeah, that definitely left a lasting impression on me. I think it's actually my first exposure to anything made by Guillermo del Toro. And yeah, man, like you were saying, Captain Vital is like one of the fucking ruthless villains the whole time, and the fact that it's like just like the backdrop with the actually being set against like I believe it was Spanish Civil War,
Yeah.
and then just the design of like all the pieces and everything. And just like the fact that it's a fantasy film, just set also like in the wartime, all that stuff, man. Guillermo just goes all out, and yeah, I definitely got to give it to Pan's Labyrinth for this one.
There you go, Brian.
I don't like either of these movies. David Lynch has never made a good movie in his entire career. Guillermo del Toro, hugely overrated. Very hit or miss for me. I like a couple of his, but for the most part, I don't see why people love him so much. I gotta pick one. I guess at least Pan's Labyrinth had some cool visuals, so I'll give it to Pan's Labyrinth.
Me and Henry are Hispanic, so we got to do solidarity too.
In the Heights.
So I gotta vote for
Jay.
the white guy. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
No,
Jay.
So we're just getting the Afro. We're just saying fuck the Afro Latino half of Jay. Go fuck yourself. I mean, you guys are right. Solidarity all the way, baby. Team 21%. Pan's Labyrinth.
All right, there we go. And Austin, I don't know. I mean, I think we've talked about maybe Mulholland Drive, but what are your thoughts? And we talked about Pan's Labyrinth. We should bring that.
Also, tell us about your heritage.
I like it. I have no fucking clue. Somewhere in Europe, I don't know. I like Pan's Labyrinth. I'm just not as over the moon as Henry is about it, but I do think it's good. Mulholland Drive, I saw way too young to understand it. I think I rented it back in my Blockbuster days, like 2002, 2003 or something. I do intend to rewatch it because I picked up the 4K a few days ago. So it came in the mail. So I'm going to rewatch it very soon and get back to you on that. But for now, I got to go Pan's Labyrinth.
Shout out Mulholland Drive as my favorite metaphor film. So yes, let me know exactly what you think and if you catch up on the metaphors on that one. Oh, oops. All right, so now we're going to the next matchup. We're going to start with Ant-Man, and god damn it.
Oh no.
Woo! I know where Pez is going to go with this, but for Ant-Man, we're starting with him. Inception versus Arrival.
Oh, you just brought all the big guns for me, Henry, didn't you?
Yeah.
The luck of the draw.
I think I'll save time. I mean, Christopher Nolan's one of my favorite directors. So yeah, I gotta go Inception. I love Arrival. I love the concept of it. I did get a little bit. This is where I was feeling a lot of Amy Adams fatigue because I feel like she was like in a lot of shit, and she does a great job.
Not shit. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, the twist they did with Arrival at the end, when I was like, oh shit, that's where they were going with this. I like to be caught off guard, so I was glad it accomplished that. But Inception, total game changer, and again, it's Nolan, Leo. Enough said. So yeah, Inception, my pick.
All right. Inception. Brian.
These are both directors who
There we go.
Or overrated? Thank you.
Yeah. These are both directors who have made some very good, if not excellent, movies. Who their fans actually make me like them less because
Facts.
they're so over the top and just worshiping anything they touch must be perfection, and it's not. Some of their movies are great. Some of them are just kind of and yes, they both even made some movies that aren't very good. However, these two are two excellent movies. Inception is probably one of my 3 favorite Nolan movies. Arrival is a movie I didn't like as much the first time I saw it, but upon rewatch, I liked it more and more. But I think overall, I'm going to go with Inception.
All right. And Jay?
One mustn't be afraid to dream a little bit bigger, darling. Inception.
And Pez, let's hear how much you love Arrival.
I've made it clear, as Henry knows, I fucking hate Arrival. I think that movie is up its own ass. I think Denis Villeneuve has been up his own ass since Sicario. To be fair, Nolan's been up his own ass since Interstellar. So, and Nolan's going the same way. Yeah, I think they're just high on themselves. Yeah, I don't like Arrival. I think it's hard science fucking bullshit. I don't like it. So Inception, pretty easily.
Oh my god, I love this bracket is just shitting on me. Yes, Inception's gonna go easily for me just because it's in my top 10, borderline top 5. You know, depending on any given Sunday. But Arrival is always top 50 for me. Arrival, another movie that's actually in this list. Uses of the score that just the sound of it just makes me tear up. The storyline, the relationship between Amy Adams, her Louise character, Abbott and Costello, Jeremy Renner. When he's not Hawkeye, he's not boring. Yeah, I love this movie, but yes, Inception is just S tier, all timer, top 10 for me. So it's just a bummer that was the matchup. So now we are going to be starting with Brian for the next matchup, and it is the last one on this side of the bracket, and that is going to be the one I just talked about, and then also a director we just talked about. Brian, Interstellar versus Shutter Island.
Wow. Yeah, these are two shitty movies.
Oh, but it's
Interstellar-
love, Brian.
Interstellar, maybe Nolan's worst movie. If you want to talk up his own ass, this is the one. It's just long and it's slow and it's boring and I don't really like anything about it. I will say it has a decent soundtrack. There, a good score. I'll give you that. Shutter Island, I don't get the love for this one, man. It's Scorsese, who I don't really like either. So, yeah. Henry's really regretting having me on this bracket.
You and Pez are just gonna kill me today, and I love it.
This is tough. 'Cause, I mean, there's actors who I like in both movies. There's performers I like, and even some of the performances are good. If I have to pick one, I'm going to say Shutter Island, but it's so close.
So close, but yet so far down below. Jay.
If I had to pick one, this is super fucking simple. I like the one with the better story, and that's Shutter Island. The book and the movie are fire, whereas Interstellar, the soundtrack to that movie is fucking blah, and then some fucking wind chimes and the sound of rushing wind. I'm so fucking over this movie. I'm so fucking over people talking about that movie. I don't hear anybody talk about fucking Shutter Island, and I like that movie more, and I don't like it just for that reason. But the fucking twist in Shutter Island is so much better than the twist in Interstellar.
That sound wasn't wind; it was Nolan blowing himself.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Pez.
Well, I think no one's blowing himself in Tenet, but you know he made a movie only he
No
can
shit,
fucking
but you
understand.
can't hear
Yeah.
Tenet.
Yeah. No, I fucking love Interstellar. On my top 100, I think that movie's great.
I'm sorry.
Good shit. And I've listened to that soundtrack while I'm, been in caverns in fucking Kentucky, and it's great. It's like, I don't know, it's a fucking spiritual experience. So Interstellar.
There you go. These are really close in my rankings for different reasons. Shutter Island is one of the movies that when I first got into movies around when it came out, before I became talking about movies online, obviously, but this was one of the first movies. I'm like, this is Shutter Island in 2010, and Seven in 2014 are probably the two movies where I'm like, whoa, this is cinema. So I'm gonna go Shutter Island because I feel like as much as I do love Interstellar, it makes me cry and it gets me emotional. And it's beautiful. Shutter Island, I'm give it a shout out. And Inception's already going on, so I'm gonna go Shutter Island. Ant-Man, you're the tiebreaker.
Well,
Funny
not
thing is, I
really.
think, yeah, because all you guys really know where I'm going with this. Because I think at least Henry knows. Because I feel like Interstellar is possibly one of my at least top 3 Nolan films for me, close to number 1 usually. I love Shutter Island. Trust me, and that's why I'm like, I kind of hate you for putting these two in a matchup. But but I still got to be loyal to because I do love Interstellar, and I love the music. I love McConaughey in it, Hathaway. Michael Caine is actually a little bit just weird in the movie, but whatever. He's allowed to be off once in a while.
He's sick.
But
I think Michael Caine is by far my favorite part of that movie, and I think it's just,
Right. And then also Matt Damon.
It's just him reading the fucking poem.
The fucking poem. But Matt Damon showing up and being a dick also with a nice little twist to that I like. So
Oh, so
yeah, I gotta
it's Matt
put
Damon
Interstellar.
being Matt Damon. Okay.
Yeah, right. So Interstellar's going ahead for me. For sure.
We also would have accepted Matt.
Yeah, Jamie.
All right, so that
Shutter
is
Island
that.
gets it.
No, that was Interstellar was 3-2.
Shutter Island 3-2. Brian voted for Shutter Island. Jay voted for Shutter Island. You voted for Shutter Island.
Oh, maybe I messed up. Yeah, you're right.
I got you, Henry.
I know you're used. You're
My
used to it.
tournament co-hosting, I got you.
Well, at least you know how to co-host. At least you know how to host.
So Cox, we are starting with Brian on this one, right?
No, I started last one.
We are starting with Jay.
Hey, Saw versus Seven.
What's in the box?
Oh,
Easy.
come
This is too
on.
fucking. This is too fucking easy, bro. 7 is actually fucking entertaining more times. The more times you watch it, whereas Saw just. Oh my god, I'm over it. I got it. The twist is fucking good. Oh, ha ha. 7.
All right, that's one vote for that. Pez.
I will give it to 7 because Saw 6 is better.
Fuck you. Fuck you and the insurance man.
You know it.
Fuck you and the mustache you rode in on.
Facts. I can't wait for our Saw random match. I am still going to go with 7, even though Saw is my second favorite franchise behind Rocky. 7 is just a movie that's just a game changer for me. It's beautiful. David Fincher's direction is fantastic. It's one of those movies that if you take the meme-worthy stuff that the internet has ruined, this movie is perfect. Like it's a banger. Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman's chemistry is fantastic. My favorite scene is the scene when Mills is so mad and he kicks down John Doe's door, and then he's like, "How did we get here?" And then they hire the homeless person to like pretend that they're like, "Oh yeah, I saw this guy. He's real sketchy and all this stuff." They're all right. Go get you some food. And so those things like quick on the feet. It's like, if you're gonna bend some rules, at least still do it. Be right, and they are right. So I'm gonna go 7. But I love Saw. Like I will always vouch for it. Ant-Man.
I was just telling Henry that I rewatched Saw like pretty recently, and I do have a little bit more respect for it. But I didn't say that there was this one scene where pretty much at the end, Tobin Bell just makes a really weird face that's just like
Just Tobin Bell's face.
Yeah, he inspires inspires laughter because it looks like he just pretty much just jizzed somewhere. So I can sometimes it makes me like lose.
Because that was his first time stretching in fucking 14 hours or however long.
Yeah, he just came
Yeah,
in his pants.
With all the
I'm just sorry. You're still stretching and not make it look like you just came. I gotta go with 7. 7.
There you go. Brian.
This is no contest whatsoever. I mean, when I first saw my review of it basically said that it had such 7 envy. It was just trying so hard to be 7. It's like, well, I'm going to make this, this violence killer movie, but he's always trying to teach them a lesson. Which 7 did it well. Saw was kind of the shitty knockoff version of it. Now, Saw, I can sit and enjoy as just like the torture porn it is. Yes, yeah, I'm going to say it, Henry. That's what they're going for. They're going for the only reason you watch that movie is for the cool kills and the cool, setups. Nobody watches that for the plot or for any of that shit because it's really badly done. 7 is one of Fincher's best films. It is pretty much a perfect thriller, so 7 all the way.
There you go. 7 is going to move on, and then now we're going to start with Pez here for this one. This one's going to be interesting. The Shining versus Get Out.
It's not a contest for me. Shining's an all-timer. We talked about this on the horror thing. Get Out is really good, and it's one of those kind of benchmark movies that changed some things, in the late 2010s. But The Shining, it's like top 3 horror movies of all time, like period. So The Shining.
So it's kind of what I said about some of these movies, where it's like when I think of a movie that like goes down, I don't think of it like negatively, but like if I'm ranking and my favorite movies of all time and I'm being nitpicky, some are going to go up or some are going to go down, and one of these has drastically gone up and one of these has slightly gone down. I'm going with Get Out. I think this is a movie that just covers just a lot of topics that are just really fun, with like the trauma and everything with Chris's character of his mom passing away from a hit and run, and then just how they have subtle hints to it throughout, where he hits the deer when he stops at the very end when he hits Georgina. I love Allison Williams' performance in this. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, why is she not doing other stuff? Like, she is fantastic. Catherine Keener and Bradley Whitford, they're just fantastic as the parents. Caleb Landry Jones, one of those guys where he's just a weirdo. This and 3 Billboards around the same time is just really interesting because they're just drastically different characters. And then I really like the score. The Shining, it's an all-timer for me as well, but I have to be in the mood to watch it. And I just honestly, I didn't even rewatch it during Halloween this season. So, and I watched Get Out 1.5 times because I kind of just put in the background one time. So I'm gonna go Get Out. Antonio.
The Shining is an all-timer for me, and I'm always in the mood to watch it, no matter what. It doesn't have to be Halloween. I do love Get Out. Get Out, I think, is still Jordan Peele's best film. Uh, really opened my eyes a lot when I first saw it, and I didn't expect it to be as such, thriller or horror or whatever you want to call it, as it was. But yeah, Shining's just too great, man. And yeah, the music's all the concepts in there, and Jack Nicholson, he's the goat in that movie. So yeah, Shining.
There you go. Brian.
Get Out is a movie that I started to like more and more as time goes on. I mean, when it first came out, I really did enjoy it, but it's also one of those that, again, kind of got that just rush of people just praising it, and I was kind of like, made me kind of distance myself from it, and I was like, okay, whatever. So I think it's a great movie. It's maybe not where everybody says it is. The Shining, the best parts of The Shining are great. The highs are super high. But honestly, if this is Dr. Sleep, I'd put it above Get Out. But these two, Get Out wins.
All right, Get Out. So we're going to go to Jay.
All work and no play make Jack a dull boy. I just want it to be known that fucking Kubrick gave Shelley Duvall a twitch. He gave her a complex, so much so that she hasn't made a movie in fucking 40 years. Versus Get Out, bro. Do you know how many people I know who said I would have voted for Obama for a third term if I could have? The fucking subtle racism of Get Out versus the fucking just like destruction that alcoholism can fucking perpetrate upon a family. These are two wildly different movies. I think Get Out's the more rewatchable of the two. I think it's the better of the two, and not by very much. I do like The Shining. I think that a lot of the supplementary media that's spawned from The Shining is really cool, but I think Get Out's the better movie, and also I think Nope is Jordan Peele's best movie by just like this much.
There you go. All right, we're going to start back up with me. Get Out wins that one by the tiebreaker. We're going to go back up to me, and this one's brutal. The Silence of the Lambs versus Jaws.
What? What? Okay.
Jaws is a movie that I was late to the party on. It's been like 2018, so it's been 4 years, and it's always been a perfect movie for me. But it's me and Brian had this conversation the other day where it's like there's a lot of movies where it's like I genuinely love, but when I think of like other people's fandom of it, I'm like, I'm not them. I'm, aka annoying. So it's like, I don't, I'm not just over there, loving Die Hard as much as Brian. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But it's like I do love Die Hard. I didn't want to throw anyone else under the bus. So,
I just wanted to throw Brian under the bus.
You're right.
I'm not just gonna blow the world's end like Jay. There you go. But anyway, I genuinely love Jaws when I watched it in
that
theaters.
Movie's dick too.
I do. When I saw it in theaters for Labor Day, it was like, man, this movie's awesome. I'm quoting it, and it's a banger. But Silence of the Lambs is perfect, dude, and it's just more my style in terms of the stuff I like. Buffalo Bill, Hannibal Lecter. When I think of like some of the best performances of all time, Hannibal Lecter's up there. Goes Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Perkins in Psycho, Daniel Day-Lewis, There Will Be Blood. Like, those are the first that come to my mind, hands down. So I'm gonna go Silence of the Lambs, but Jaws is up there in my top 100, but Silence of the Lambs up there in my top 30. So Silence of the Lambs for me. Ant-Man.
Damn. Tough matchups because Spielberg's one of my favorite directors, and Jaws is like his first blockbuster. That's one of those movies where like I love it, but I like the second half better than the first half. Like the first half was kind of like a little bit just slow for me. So there's some, not many, but some dull moments in Jaws. But Silence of the Lambs is just perfect, like you said, like just perfect from beginning to end. I don't feel like there's any dull moments. Anthony Hopkins is, again, I'll use this word, he's the GOAT. That one. Especially top five cinema villains of all time. And I really wish they brought Jodie Foster back for Hannibal, but that's another story. But yeah, man, I think it's pretty much a perfect, thriller horror movie. So yeah, definitely got to give it to Silence of the Lambs.
There you go, Brian.
These are two great films. One of them is from one of the best directors of all time. But that's not the one I'm voting for, actually. I'm going to vote Silence of the Lambs. I enjoy Jaws, but again, like you said, not as much as a lot of people seem to. I honestly, I can see how it was kind of an important film in the growth and the of Steven Spielberg and his style and the birth of the blockbuster and all that kind of thing. But as a movie, it's got its flaws, and I'm kind of in the I like it but don't love it kind of phase for that one. Silence of the Lambs, though, is just kind of the more complete movie.
There you go, Jay.
I know that we can get into a really shallow fucking argument over
Shallow waters.
over what is considered horror. I am of the camp that Jaws isn't necessarily a fucking horror movie. It's a blockbuster by all means. It might be, I believe it is considered the original blockbuster. But Silence of the Lambs is an almost fucking perfect movie for me. I'm going Silence of the Lambs, but on any given fucking day of the week, this is a flip flop. This a flippy flop.
Flippy flop.
Yeah, it's a flippy flop. Latest on the menu. We're going with Silence of the Lambs.
What year is your birthday? Every year. 4th of July. Probably not the day you'd pick Jaws. Pez.
Hey,
I'll be the lone vote for Jaws. It's a top tenner for me. I think it is a perfect movie. About as close to a perfect movie as you get, on the level of like Back to the Future and shit like that. And I love the kind of two movies it is. It's like a monster movie, but it's also an adventure movie. And I love that shit. So, but Silence of the Lambs rules too.
Yeah, there we go. Now we are going to be starting with Ant-Man here. And I honestly don't know where this is going to go. I mean, I know where this is going to go for one of you for sure, but the rest of you, I'm honestly not sure. Ant-Man, Cabin in the Woods versus Hereditary. The Tale of Two Cults.
Yikes!
Can I just go get a drink while I'm here? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
We know what Brian's voting for. We know what Brian's voting for.
Ant-Man.
All right, so yeah, I told you I've been going on a horror binge, but before that, I only seen these movies like once, and then before I went on my horror binge, I enjoyed both. They're both just unique as far as horror movies, in my opinion. Especially Cabin in the Woods. So I didn't expect to like it, but I was like, I fucking love the movie. But Hereditary, I gotta give it to Hereditary just because Toni Collette, man, she's just freaking amazing. And the first half of the movie the first 30 minutes. Sorry, the first 30 minutes of the movie, I was like, where is this going? And then when the fucking accident happened to the girl, I was like, shit. All right, now this is where we're going somewhere. So that already just kind of like set the pace for me for the rest of the movie. And then I just was like on the edge of my seat. I know it's a cliche thing to say, but for real, everything with that movie was just fucking creepy as hell. So yeah, I got to give it to Hereditary.
All right, perfect. I already wrote Brian's vote down, but what are your thoughts on one of these movies? And positive vibes only.
So Cabin in the Woods is a really good movie. No, the first time I saw Cabin in the Woods, I actually got to see an advanced screening of it, and like the director was there and everything was pretty cool. And so I was worried that that affected my opinion of the movie. But I've watched that movie so many times since then. I'm sure it's in the double digits at this point, and I just think it's such an original, great horror movie. Hereditary. Toni Collette is great in this. I agree. I think Toni Collette is a great performance in this movie. That might be the only good thing about the movie. I take it back. Watching the little girl lose her head was awesome.
Right.
The problem is the rest of the movie sucked, and especially like the last half hour, the naked people start running around. My wife and I were literally laughing out loud in the theater. So unintentionally hilarious how bad this movie was. So yeah, Cabin in the Woods.
Jay.
I'm going with Cabin in the Woods. I don't necessarily care for either of these movies. I like Cabin in the Woods more than I like Hereditary, but I think that a lot of that comes from the community and how much they hype up certain movies. Like, I can respect them both for what they are, but like the entire community has soured me on Hereditary. Yeah, Cabin in the Woods.
All right, Pez.
Hereditary's good, although I think Midsommar is slightly better. I think he does the creepy cult thing better and more fleshed out in that movie. But Cabin in the Woods saw it 3 times opening weekend. Kind of like Brian, I've seen it, God, dozens of times since then. Showed it to everybody I could show it to. That would sit down and watch it. Cabin in the Woods.
There you go. So this matchup for me is almost the exact same as The Shining. One of these is going up my list, and the other one's going down. Not negatively, just just how power rankings go sometimes. Hereditary is very, once again, I have to be in the mood for it, but when I am, it gives me chills. The dinner scene, I am your mother. Don't you yell at me, like all that shit. Like that is just fantastic. It gets under my skin. That's a scene that I've watched just by itself so many times, and I usually don't do that. I either watch whole movies or I don't, and that's one where I watch the scene a lot. So Cabin in the Woods is just skyrocketing flight, afternoon delight. Like, yeah, Cabin in the Woods for me is going to take this one, and it just makes, the more that I become a horror fan, the more that movie has resonated with me, because I get, I'm like Captain America and the Avengers. I understood that reference. You know what I mean? It did a great job for that. Pez, you'll be happy about this next matchup because you just mentioned one of these movies, but we're starting with Brian. The Invisible Man from 2020 versus Midsommar.
This is harder than you would think. I have not seen Midsommar, full disclosure. It's Ari Aster, so it's not going to get my vote, probably. I guess I have no interest in this movie at all, and everyone has told me that it's definitely not a Brian movie. Invisible Man has the one big piece of baggage, which is that, what's her name, Elizabeth Moss?
Yeah.
I don't like her at all. I think the only thing I've ever liked her in is a small part in Us. I don't think she's a good actress.
Jump to the Greek.
But there's enough else in that movie that it's got enough style to it. I didn't feel like in the end it was quite everything I wanted it to be. It had potential to be better than it was. But I did enjoy that to some extent. So Invisible Man.
All right, Invisible Man. Jay.
Midsommar.
Oh, there you go. He looks like a bear. Don't wear him though. Pez.
Yeah, Invisible Man is solid. I think that was one of the last movies I saw before everything kind of got fucked up in 2020. It's like that in Fantasy Island. The movie blows. But
on this
No, the plane, boss, the plane.
Yeah. But Midsommar is great. I think it's one of probably the best creepy cult movies since like the original Wicker Man, like in the 70s. Like I love the original Wicker Man, and this was like probably the closest that's come to it as far as like challenging your morals, as far as like what's right and wrong, according to whoever. They do the things their way and we do it our way, and who's to say whatever. But I think Midsommar is really, really great, and can't wait to see what Ari Aster does next.
There you go. I love Midsommar. I think Florence Pugh does a fantastic job. Unfortunately, we see Jack Rayner's wiener, so that's always, a downfall because it's not impressive. But yeah, I love Ari Aster's direction. Like it's a lot of fun. But The Invisible Man is just a movie that I will vouch. It's similar to like Shutter Island, where it's just like it just does everything that I want for like these types of movies of like the thriller, all that stuff. And I love the action at the end. It just goes bonkers. Lee Whannell is becoming, just a fantastic director, and he's really working for me. So I'm gonna let Antonio decide what's moving on.
Like Brian, I haven't seen Midsommar. I've only done the reason I was intrigued to watch this because of Florence Pugh, because I heard that's like where she also kind of like sort of broke out a little bit. I know she did fight with my family, but still. But The Invisible Man is the one I saw, and I went into that expecting it to kind of be just like another like flop in a way because of horror. But then I was just like, wow, it kind of was just simple. And I agree with you, Henry, where like Lee Whannell's just showing off his directing chops, man. He needs to keep making more shit. And yeah, I don't care for Elizabeth Moss either, but I mean, she was just serviceable in the movie, and I think that's all you kind of needed for just that concept. So yeah, I gotta give it to Invisible Man. Really actually made an impression on me.
Also, shout out Hawkman. Hawkman's in this. Aldous Hodges. He's the cop. But yes, Invisible Man is gonna move on, and we're gonna start with Jay. And our next matchup is a brutal one.
Aldous Hodge, also the little kid in Die Hard with a Vengeance. Just saying.
Still have not seen it.
Aldous Hodge, Your Majesty.
God, that's a freaking mind blow.
Jay.
Yo.
Alien versus The Thing. I pulled a Brian with a lot of these matchups. I win all the similar ones round one because
I respect what Alien did for like the horror genre, especially not being able to see the monster for a majority of it. But I think I respect The Thing more for the practical effects that like literally took people years to figure out. I like the story of The Thing more than I like the story of Alien. I like a lot of what has come since based off of what Alien has done. But if I was to choose between these two, which is obviously what's going on here, I would go with The Thing over Alien. And by a fairly wide margin, I would go with The Thing.
There you go. Pez, how tough is this for you?
It's pretty easy, actually, because if you put Aliens up against The Thing, it's way harder. But I'm more of an Aliens guy, way more than an Alien guy. I respect Alien; it's a really good movie, and but goddamn it, I've seen Aliens like 800 times, and I've seen Alien like maybe 9 or 10 total. And The Thing is like my second favorite horror movie of all time. So The Thing.
All right. I knew that's where that was going. Yeah, so The Thing is one of those movies that I keep saying this, but I have to be in the mood for it. Once I'm in, I'm all in. It's like a lot of that. It's like that, The Shining and Hereditary. I swear to God, these three movies are like back to back to back in terms of like, if I'm in, they are like S tier, top 5 all time. But if I'm not in the mood for it, they're just bottom or mid tier, top 100. Whereas Alien is just atmospheric, dude. It just the scene with Brett when he's looking for Jonesy, and then the aliens just slobbering all over, and then the chains are wet. Just the atmosphere. Ridley Scott just does a fantastic job of that. The fact that Ripley is one of the most iconic characters of all time, and it starts here. Like a lot of people think that it's only in Aliens, but it starts in the third act, or honestly the second half, really, of Alien. Once Dallas goes out, and just Ripley is starting to step up, and her instincts are like taking over, and she just becomes a badass just based on necessity. She just has to, and it kind of forced her that way. It's not like contrived, and I love that. And it's one of those things where if I'm picking the ensemble cast, I like the Alien ensemble a little bit better than The Thing, even though technically I like Kurt Russell more than Sigourney Weaver, but I still like the ensemble better. So Alien, but these two movies that I could do a double feature with these, honestly. Alien for me. Ant-Man.
I like Aliens better than Alien, so automatically I give it to The Thing.
Jeez. And all right, and Brian.
So Alien is the second or third best movie in the Alien franchise. So I mean, I like it. I think it's good, but it's definitely overshadowed by Aliens. And honestly, I might enjoy Alien 3 more. That's just me. The Thing, on the other hand, is the second best Thing movie. The 2011 version is better than this shit.
Whoa! Kick him out! Kick him out!
I mean, this one, Kurt Russell's in it. That's cool. A lot of the other actors in it I like. People praise the practical effects. These practical effects are horrible. By 1982 standards,
Jesus Christ.
fine. But look at them now, and they're just goofy. It's like watching a Jim Henson puppet, trying to do these things. I'm not a big fan of this.
You don't like when the Thing pops up and he yells, "Hey, you guys!"
Might as well have. I'm going to Alien.
Alien. All right. So 3-2.
For The
But
Thing.
The Thing is going to move on. I'm glad that Brian and Pez are not just breaking only my hearts. Like you guys are definitely killing everyone in this, and that's why I love the chaos. All we need is like Malcolm and like other random things that just can get said. All right. Speaking of chaos, starting with Pez.
Yes, correct.
Starting with Pez. Joker versus American Psycho.
Oh, it's easy. Joker's in my 128, and I like American Psycho. I revisited it fairly recently. I enjoyed what I saw, but goddamn, Joker is like a fucking masterpiece. It's like the best comic book movie since Dark Knight. Easy, Joker.
Wow, that's such a bad take.
Yeah.
Is it, Henry? No.
It is.
It's a take. I don't agree with that, but I like comic movies, so it's tough. But anyway, this one's fucking brutal, dude.
That's a real easy answer.
No, it's really not, dude. All I have are bad thoughts, murders and executions. American Psycho, Christian Bale. Fuck, that's Any Given Sunday. Ant-Man.
Can I vote for Any Given Sunday instead?
I would vote for Any Given Sunday instead of either one of these.
Hey, Pez, I think this is for you.
Oh, boy.
Anyway. Ant-Man.
Over time, I really started to wonder, how the hell did Joaquin really win an Oscar for this movie?
Because there was nobody else he really went up against that did
Yeah.
anything.
So
That's why they let him ramble for 7 minutes about being a fucking vegan.
so yeah, and then just I'm like, this movie's been done already with Taxi Driver
Twice!
and
Oh, I hate
comedy.
that argument.
Twice!
Oh my god, I hate that argument. I'm
I try to avoid those comparisons, but the more
I
You
fucking
hate the
hate that
argument all
argument.
you want. It's a
I hate
correct
that argument.
argument.
I'm switching my vote. I'm going Joker.
Yeah.
Hurry up.
and I just got man. I'm Christian Bale, man. I don't know, just the fact that
So then you discount every Tarantino movie ever made. Then
That's
without
fine.
argument.
I'm
That's
okay.
fine.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Because Tarantino stole fucking
American
everything
Psycho.
from other movies. Everything.
Brian.
So the theme of this whole bracket today is just overrated films and
Facts.
performances. Okay, flashback to 1993 when River Phoenix dies and his dad is screaming, "The wrong kid!"
Spoilers!
Just saying that River Phoenix would have been way better to keep around than Joaquin Phoenix. The Joker as a film on its own, if you took out the Joker, if he wasn't the Joker, it would be a better film for it, because it's like it just seems like it's just tacked on just to like bring in that crowd who wants to see a Batman related story, and it
I'm
serves no
tired of
purpose.
pretending it
But
wasn't.
the problem is, if you take out the Joker, then it's just the king of comedy and Taxi Driver. It totally is just a knockoff of those films. That being said, American Psycho is a film that I have never understood the huge hype for this movie. It's decent. It's not a bad movie. It's not a great movie either. So I vote for Any Given Sunday. At least they didn't give one of these pieces of shit an Oscar and like $1 billion. So I'm voting for American Psycho.
And Jay.
Oh, guys, you remember all the hype built around the fucking incels who were gonna shoot up movie theaters because they wanted to watch one of these fucking movies? So I gotta rally against it because the King of Comedy and Taxi Driver did it better. Yeah, we're going American Psycho on this. Fuck the Joker. That movie's dumb as fuck, and they're dumb as fuck for making a second one with Lady Gaga as Harley.
We'll see.
No,
All right, our
we won't
final
see.
one.
We're
our
not watching
final
that.
one of this side and the entire round one, starting with me. Halloween versus Psycho.
oh, you bastard.
The theme continues.
Yep. Oh Jesus.
Okay, right.
Outrageous.
I'm going Psycho because it's been a favorite for way longer. From day one, it's borderline top 10, always top 20, 25 at the lowest. Halloween is creeping up because now I'm a fan of the entire franchise and I'm on the hype. But yeah, Psycho for me. Ant-Man.
I gotta let sentimentality kind of play a role in this. So
Can I ask why that poster is missing the H?
yeah, right. It's like cool.
Halloween.
I gotta go
Halloween!
because Psycho is what introduced me to Alfred Hitchcock, and I feel like it's also one of the most iconic horror movies of all time. Halloween, I do gotta give another chance, and I know the first one's good, but I don't know. Michael Myers, he's cool. It's just that I don't know. I feel like Norman Bates is just a more like practical kind of just because he's just fucked up in the head. Michael's insane, but at the same time, it's not bordering on the whole level of like, damn, you're going to take a lot of bullets and still like walk away from it. I don't know. I respect Psycho a lot more, so I got to go Psycho for this one.
All right, Brian. Which one is less overrated?
Halloween.
Halloween. Jay.
essentially asking cross-dressing versus cosplay the movie. Halloween.
All right, Pez, tiebreaker. Which one's moving on to round 2 and ending round 1?
Halloween, although Psycho is an underrated franchise.
All right, Halloween gets it at the last minute. All right, so now we are going to be able to just kind of go through. We've talked about all these films, so let's decide the matchups. Our first one, Saving Private Ryan versus Big Trouble in Little China. Brian or Ant-Man? Yeah, Ant-Man.
Saving Private Ryan, no contest.
All right, Brian.
Saving Private Ryan.
Jay.
Saving Ryan's Privates.
Pez.
Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, exactly. I actually
not even fucking close. Apocalypse Now. But anyways, Big Trouble.
Yeah, I actually would have said The World's End, but yeah, looks like Saving Private Ryan. They Live versus Blade Runner. Brian.
Blade Runner.
Jay.
This is what it. Do you feel fear? This is what it like. This is what it feels like to be a slave. Blade Runner.
Pez.
They Live.
I'm gonna go They Live. Ant-Man.
Blade Runner. Gonna do it.
Blade Runner moves on. Starting with Jay. Old Boy versus Pan's Labyrinth.
One movie from a different culture that you have to watch subtitled. I'm going with the one with the ball peen hammer. Old Boy. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Pez.
Oh boy.
I'm going Pan's Labyrinth. Ant-Man.
Old Boy.
And Brian.
Old Boy.
All right. Starting with Pez.
Yeah.
Inception or Interstellar?
I'll go back
Boo.
to I'll go back to my rankings with me and you, Henry. I think I had Interstellar at 2 and Inception at 3, so Interstellar.
Inception's in my top 10. Interstellar's in my top 40 or 50, so Inception.
I
Ant-Man.
know how this is gonna end, but I'm still gonna say it anyway. Interstellar.
Brian.
Inception.
And Jay.
Am I the tiebreaker?
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
If you pick the right one.
Dream a little bigger.
Any given Sunday.
Okay.
Ooh-ah.
I hate both these fucking movies. I can't stand either one of these movies.
That is...
Interstellar.
Oh!
Thank you, Jay.
Interstellar. I can't stand either one of those fucking movies, but
All right. We're starting with
Ooh.
Pez.
Now,
Nick?
Henry, you're first.
Oh. 7. Ant-Man.
Yeah, 7.
Brian.
7 moves on.
Jay.
7.
And,
7.
Yeah, 7. Ant-Man. Silence of the Lambs versus Cabin in the Woods.
Silence of the Lambs. No discussion.
Brian.
You gotta think about it.
Well, no, one's a better movie. One's a movie I like more. So it's
True.
like I
Yeah.
enjoy more. I'm gonna go Cabin.
I knew
Cabin
it.
in the Woods. Hey.
I like Brian's thought process, but I gotta go Silence of the Lambs.
Pez.
Cabin in the Woods.
Silence of the Lambs.
I was honestly okay with either one of those moving on.
Silence one.
Yes, 3-2.
There you go. Starting with Brian.
Starting with Brian.
The Invisible Man versus The Thing. Battle of the movies.
As much as I made fun of it between these two, The Thing.
Jay.
The Thing.
Pez.
The Thing.
I'd go Invisible Man. Ant-Man.
The Thing.
I was like, don't fuck this up.
Well, he can't because he's already won. Now we're starting with
Jay.
Jay. American Psycho versus Halloween. Last round of round 2.
I gotta return some videotapes.
Pez.
Halloween.
I'm going American Psycho. Ant-Man.
American Psycho.
And Brian.
Halloween.
American Psycho.
Mm.
All right. Next round. Saving Private Ryan versus Blade Runner.
Oh, you're hurting Antonio.
It's me. Easily Saving Private Ryan.
I'll see.
I'm gonna go Blade
This
Runner.
is- Mm.
Yeah, I gotta go with my favorite actor or one of my favorite directors. Blade Runner.
Brian
Ryan.
and Jay. Tiebreaker.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner moves on.
Mm.
I came in my pants for one of those movies.
Okay, there you go.
Old Boy versus Interstellar.
Oh,
Easy.
I'm gonna go Interstellar. Makes me cry.
shit.
Mm.
Old Boy.
All right, Brian.
Oh boy.
Jay.
Rogers and Hammer scene. Old Boy.
And Pez.
Interstellar.
Old Boy moves on.
Mhm.
No fucking shit.
Don't be rude. Starting with Ant-Man. 7 versus The Silence of the Lambs.
I think this is where I'm gonna use Brian's thought process. I'm gonna go with 7.
All right. Brian.
Two perfect thrillers, but I gotta go with 7.
Jay.
7.
Pez.
7.
Perfect Sweet. Our first one of the entire thing, I'm pretty sure.
We had another one. Actually, the first,
I think 7 did the last round, didn't it?
second match, the third
Kevin's only
match,
been-
and the sixth match early
Yeah,
on
sure.
all had sweeps.
Yeah, that's true. Starting with Brian. The Thing versus American Psycho.
I don't fucking care. The Thing. Whatever wins losing to 7, so it doesn't matter.
Hey, Jay.
Jay.
The Thing.
Uh,
Sorry, guys. I was finishing up my Jeopardy thing.
I know. I'm gonna go American Psycho.
Yeah,
American Psycho.
it's the thing.
The Thing moves on.
Mhm.
Let's go.
All
American
right.
Psycho had its run. It beat the movie it needed to beat, and that's fine.
We are in the final four. Old Boy versus Blade Runner.
Jay.
7 versus The Thing. Jay. Old Boy versus Blade Runner first.
Am I voting both now?
No. Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead. Fuck it.
Okay.
What's your final?
My final would be, oh my god, it would be The Thing versus Blade Runner. Blade Runner and The Thing are my votes.
Okay. Pez.
I go Old Boy and the Thing.
Okay. And I am gonna go Old Boy and 7.
Okay.
Ant-Man.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it battle of the twists at the end. Old Boy versus 7.
Okay.
And Brian.
Blade Runner 7.
I don't hate one side of this bracket.
Versus 7.
What is it?
Old Boy versus 7.
Old Boy versus 7. Oh fuck. It doesn't matter.
Well, that's a sign. It's not supposed to be there.
Sign, all right. Going out.
All right. We're gonna go one at a time from the top.
Oh, okay.
Let's mix it up. Go from the top.
Yeah.
I am going 7. It's literally the film that made me realize cinema is cinema. But Old Boy, it has always been in my heart. I'm okay with this finals. Ant-Man.
I just can't. There's one moment where, like, I feel like I wish Brad could just learn how to cry better as far as an actor.
What's the box?
I give it to Old Boy.
All right, 1-1. Brian.
I like Old Boy a lot, but we're talking bracket of all-time films, so I gotta go 7.
All right, Jay.
I like both these movies a lot, but I'm gonna go with the one that I can watch more, even though both these movies are depressing as fuck. And that's Old Boy.
All right, Pez. My favorite movie of all time from bracket 3 is in your hands?
Tell him to
They're
go
both
fuck
on the
himself.
same level. I'm gonna make him watch some subtitles for representation for old boy.
Let's go.
Chaos Theory. Whatever
Yeah.
happens, will.
Oh, shut-
And that is our bracket today. All right, one at a time. Ant-Man, this is your first time doing it as a panel. What were your thoughts on just the concept of the show, the overall movies, and our winner?
I love that you made a show out of this, and yeah, some of the fucking matchups were just like, I hate you, but like, that's the point of this. Like, it's just meant to like stir up me. It's just fun to like talk a lot of shit, and I'm surprised by how it ended up, but I'm not. I'm happy because I'm like, it's definitely worthy of being like, you know, finalist or the champion. So, yeah, man, definitely would love to be part of the other brackets, and I'm curious to see what's gonna win overall.
Yeah. And Brian, you've been on all 3 now. So where does this rank in terms of the 3 brackets, and what are your thoughts on the winner?
Had I seen the list of movies, I might have opted to sit this one out. No. I mean, let somebody who's has more of a love for these movies, you know, take
That's
the
fair.
spot. On the other hand, it's always fun to throw some chaos in there. So
Correct.
now I don't agree with a lot of the choices, but it's still a fun time.
There you go. And Pez, this is the first time doing the Build-A-Brack style of more of the favorites and kind of separating the brackets into subgenres versus tournament fights, which is complete chaos and randomness.
Yeah.
So how does that compare with that, and what are your thoughts on today's winner?
No, I mean, you know, it's both similar and different, but you know, again, I'm sorry you had to bring me on for 3 or 4 movies I despise personally, but I can always say, you know, I appreciate people who appreciate movies that even I don't like, because sometimes I like to see why. I may not agree, but you know, it is what it is. You know, I don't like some of those movies, but whatever. I've literally tried to watch Blade Runner like 9 times, and it puts me to sleep every single time. I don't know what it is. If an asteroid's ever coming to hit the Earth, I will put on Blade Runner because I'll beg for the asteroid. So yeah, it's just to put me out of
God
misery.
damn,
So
bitch.
yeah, it just is what it is. I think that's the movie's the biggest slog of all time. Fuck it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've
Whatever.
seen the Titanic before.
Yeah. So, but there we go. But it was fun. It's always fun.
I had to watch
There you go.
Interstellar once.
And yeah, I kind of hinted at it. If for some reason you guys aren't familiar with Pez's show over on the Movie Hero Network, they do tournament fights, which that show is 64 versus 32, and it's more of a broad topic that's randomized, and you know, the chaos. It could be literally The Godfather versus Paddington 2. You know what I mean? It could just be some random stuff, or just kind of what happens. Whereas in this one, that's why I called it Build a Bracket. I kind of build a bracket based on certain subgenres and all that stuff, so that the
Just say
conversation
build a
is
bitch.
more facts. So that's the difference. So check out Pez's show over there at Movie Hero Network, and then obviously we brought back our ranking show. Let's rank stuff, but it's also tier stuff now because it's more visual. But we took a break last week just because Pez went on vacation. So we're gonna talk about Final Destination and the Friday
Friday
the 13th
13th.
franchise.
We gotta do it back-to-back
Yeah.
tapings this
Yep.
Wednesday. All right.
There we go. And
Yeah.
then Ant-Man, shout out to him. Make sure you check out everything he's doing. He's winning a lot of geek matches. Make sure you check him out over on TMG. You know,
Check him out when he's not
all that
frozen.
stuff. And then Brian's always here, and Jay, unfortunately, is too. With that said, my name is Henry Confidential.
It's
This was
unfortunate,
bracket
but
number
true.
3 of my top 128. The top 8 of each of the 4 are going to come into a collate of big final 32. So these final 8 are going to be in. So with that said, my name is Henry Confidential. If you made this far in the video, drop a like, subscribe, and let's talk movies. Next bracket. Latest.